Every week, it seems we cover America's epidemic of gun violence, but we don't focus nearly enough on the victims living with the lifelong impacts of that violence. Tonight, the story of what happens when one of those survivors meets the person who pulled the trigger. William Brangham reveals how an unlikely reunion recently came about in Florida. It's part of our ongoing series, Searching for Justice.
24 years ago, then 17-year-old Craig Dean shot at another teenager who he says robbed him.
So I got out the car and went to shooting and got back in the car and left.
But he missed. The bullet hit then 13-year-old Tia Quandra Addison, paralyzing her from the waist down.
My mom, she came in and she told me, she was like, baby, I don't know how to tell you, but you can't walk.
I was very nervous, very scared.
24 years after the night that changed both their lives forever, these two would come back together again.
Were you surprised that she said, "I'm willing to meet up with him"?
Yes.
What did you expect?
No, I never want to see him. I'm in a wheelchair for life because of this person.
It wasn't meant for me.
That bullet.
It wasn't meant for me. It was meant for somebody else. Not saying that it's right. It hit me, but it wasn't meant for me. It was an accident. We all make mistakes.
Their tragic encounter came back in April 1999 in Miami's Overtown neighborhood.
I haven't been in this area of this whole neighborhood of Overtown since I've been out.
At the time, both of Craig Dean's parents had died from heavy drug use, orphaning him and his older brother. Dean started selling cocaine.
You see stuff and like, hey, this is my only way of survival. It's selling drugs. Just all you know.
But after being held up by a rival, the 17-year-old went looking for revenge. That rival was the older cousin of Tia Quandra Addison. At the time, Addison was a 13-year-old star basketball player.
I used to say I was going to be the first woman to make it to the NBA. That was my dream because I thought
not
I
the
was
women's NBA,
No,
the
but
actual NBA.
Yeah, I thought I was that good. So.
And the shooting took place like right here, and that's what everything happened right there.
That fateful night, Addison was out riding a bike with that cousin.
And the minute I jumped off the bike, I just heard gunshots. So I went to run, and I just felt the impact of the bullet. I hit the wall and fell down and landed on the crate that was sitting on our porch. I knew I was shot, but, I didn't know.
How bad?
Yeah.
After that night, she never walked again.
I went through depression. Every now and then I still go through it, but it's not as bad as it used to be.
Craig Dean was convicted of first-degree attempted murder and sentenced to life in prison.
I honestly changed an innocent person's life. That was the hardest thing to live with every day.
Tia Quandra Addison is now 37 and lives in Orlando near her mother. She has two sons, 3-year-old Nigel and 17-year-old Khalid. Addison says these boys are the silver lining of this tragedy.
Had it not happened, I probably wouldn't have had my kids. Who knows where I would have been. I wouldn't trade them for the world.
And in 2010, when the Miami Herald interviewed her for a story about lifers who'd been sentenced as juveniles, like Craig Dean, she told the paper she didn't want him to stay in prison. Everybody deserves a second chance, she said.
It was no point of me holding a grudge against him. What would that do for me?
And so you don't hold any anger or resentment towards him and what he did?
No, I really don't. I understood it was the environment that we grew up in. I was mad at the situation, not him.
And when I read her words, it brought me to tears. That's the moment, my whole life changed. Because I feel if a person can forgive a person that took so much away from them, you can forgive anybody in this world.
She was never someone that was vengeful. She didn't want revenge. She didn't want any of that. She knew that her life had been changed completely.
Frank Ledet was the prosecutor who put Craig Dean in prison for life. He's now a circuit court judge in Broward County, Florida. Ledet says it was because of Tiaquandra Addison that in 2012, when Dean became eligible for a sentence reduction, he agreed.
I deferred to Tia and what her wishes were, because she's the one whose life was truly changed. And I think that he's accepted responsibility for his actions. He has paid his debt to society, and that he deserves a chance at a life.
So in January of this year, Craig Dean got that second chance. After 24 years behind bars, he was released from prison.
All of that out there, that's considered international water, so.
All that?
Yeah.
Since he's been out, the 41-year-old has tried to rebuild a relationship with his old girlfriend, Charmaine Hampton.
She understands, and sometimes I be needing somebody just to talk to.
And he's reconnected with some of the family he lost touch with while locked up.
All right, brother.
But much of these first few months has been a struggle. He got a commercial trucking license, but his record has made it hard to land a job. He set up a GoFundMe page, but with no income, he can't afford a home. More than anything, he says he wanted to meet Tiaquandra Addison.
This is the only way I feel I can move forward, is letting a person know how deeply sorry I am and grateful for the opportunity to meet them.
So the NewsHour helped bring them together, and they allowed us to be present when they finally met 24 years later.
It's good to meet you. I can say a prayer with you, please. Sorry. God, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, God, for this opportunity to be here and just meet you. I know I did so much damage. Words can't never change and what I did, and I'm so sorry. I'm a totally different person, and I know ain't nothing I could do to change the path that I did, but the only thing I could do is help somebody else not make the mistake I did. Because I tell everybody I won't be here if it weren't for you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I knew you needed this, though.
Yes.
I didn't want this following you around.
Yes. I had a mindset that I was going to die in prison. And really, everything in my whole life changed. For you to just forgive me the way you have.
I was never mad at you. You get what I mean? Because I knew the environment we all grew up around. But for the most part, I wasn't mad at you.
I look at you as an angel. God said, I'm going to bring you before one of my guardian angels so you can meet him. And I'm here today to meet an angel. And I mean that. I really do.
Can I ask you what that was like when she rolled in here?
It was like breathless, like this son I ain't never think an opportunity to come. And it was like, I just wanted her to know I was a different person from the person I was 24 years ago. And that we can change. And she believed that I could change.
Yeah, and I couldn't let him carry that weight around.
The weight of guilt?
What happened? Yeah, what happened to me, you know what I mean? It happened, and it's nothing that nobody can do about it. I had to let him see that I'm still living. I still got people in my life that love me.
I mean, I've been noticing you guys have been holding hands for about 20 minutes now.
Yeah, he's sincere. I can feel it.
Are you surprised how you feel?
Yeah, not really. I didn't think I would be this comfortable with him, but I'm comfortable with him. He has a good spirit. I like him.
In the few weeks since their meeting, Dean and Addison say they've talked on the phone several times, and a friendship seems to be growing. They hope one day to go out and speak publicly, together, to testify about the power of forgiveness and second chances. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm William Brangham.
See you later.